change tapes. So what I want to do now is give you a look inside these valve ports. So you can see how clean we got them. There's no debris in there. Nice and clean. Down in the sump base, you got some discoloration, but everything's nice and clean. We'll see if we can get a view down here and where the crossover relief valve goes. You can see the bottom there nice. Because we're pretty much, aside from the fact that we couldn't get this angle block off, we're pretty much ready to start reassembling this unit. So I'm going to put this back on the tripod and we'll commence with the reassembly. All right. Pour off solvent. Alright, now what we're going to start with, I just need to retrieve some oil. I got a bottle I use here for lubricating parts for reassembly. So I just want to make sure we got some oil in here. It's looking a little low. Alright, we need to lubricate all the O-rings on the parts before we assemble them back into the valve block and the base. So start with the C valve. Now, we don't replace O-rings just for the sake of replacing them. I'm sure some guys do, as long as you got it apart. It does seem like a good time to do it. What we found is that none of them hold up as well as the originals. So we got all our debris off of that. These O-rings do look good. I don't see any gouges or smears or damage. This is an aftermarket C valve. So at some point it was replaced. It's clearly not the original. Just clean it off the tip of my screwdriver. Again, I'm going to press on the tip of this valve. Make sure it moves freely before I assemble it. Angles go in here. Your C valve goes closest to your angles on this unit. And we just drip a little oil here so it gets around all the sides, on all the edges. We got oil coming out because our pilot check ball and spring are not in the bottom of the valve block at this time. I could put them in, I suppose. I typically put the valves in first. It doesn't sound very good. areas. Make sure that our vise is tight. Grab our 1¼ wrench. A little easier to do this with the elbows removed where the couplers are. You don't got to get carried away with this, you just snug it in there. Now we'll grab our brake parts cleaner and our B valve, which clearly is the original. And clean that off. Grab our screwdriver, press on the tip. Make sure that's working freely. It is. Get a little oil on here, on the threads, on the O-rings. Get a little here around the walls of the cavity. Lock, make sure that they're coated thoroughly so that O-rings are less likely to tear. We're going to set this down here where it's going to be inserted, because we need to insert our ball and spring first, which by now is pretty much at the bottom of our parts can. Suppose I should have done this beforehand. Maybe I'll edit this part out, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where we're at. Spring. And with our magnet, we go in there and fish that ball out. If you have all your parts laid out, this is just a big waste of time now, isn't it? All right, well, see, we have two other balls that are smaller. These two are the same size. The larger one is for the B valve. The other two, one is for the pump relief valve here. The other one is the pilot check ball that goes in the bottom of our valve block. So we'll put these to the side. Clean off this spring and ball here. Just drop that down in there. Drop the ball in there. I like to put a little bit of oil on top of the ball. Just get a little splash on top there. And then we can screw this valve in. See, O-rings look good. No damage. Judgment call, but I don't replace them. Not just for the sake of replacing. Grab our 1¼ wrench again. Without the pilot check piston cap on here, it's easier to get our wrench on here, which is why I put the valves in first. Sometimes the O-rings are a little snug. You just give it a little back off just to help seat them in there. They're thoroughly coated in oil, and cavities thoroughly coated in oil. And again, you just don't get carried away, just give it a little snug. That's all she needs. Alright. Now, next we're going to put our pilot check ball back in. We got to go to our parts can here. That magnetic pickup tool comes in pretty handy. Here's the plug. We'll just clean that off. All right, get that ready. One of our balls. Clean that off, get that ready. And now we just need our spring, which is in the can here somewhere. Usually in an inaccessible place. And here's our spring. Clean that off. Now, it's a little tricky, but you could do it this way. We get our plug ready, put the spring on it, balance the ball on top, and we go in this way with it. You could turn it upside down if that's easier for you. As long as it goes in, ball first, spring, and then plug. It doesn't matter how you get it in there, as long as it's in there straight. Got our 1/4-inch ratchet again. Quarter-inch Allen socket. Snug that in. You ain't got to get crazy. Snug is good. For some reason, when you assemble these units, they tell you to always put the ball, the check ball in first before you put the pilot check piston in the top. I'm not really sure why, but that's what they want in the factory service manual, so that's how we do it. Now the cap for the pilot check piston is aluminum, so you can't pick it out of the can with your magnet. Just clean that off, get that ready to go back in. Set that over here on a clean spot, somewhat. And then we go for our pilot check piston. Here that is. Again, this one's in nice shape, no scores, no deep scratches. Make sure that's clean, so we'll hit it again, actually cleaning the fingers of the glove off a little bit too, just to make sure we get all the debris off of that. Now again, we grab our oil. In case you're wondering, yeah, this is Meyer oil. And that should just set right in there real nice. I like to give it another little bit on top before we screw our cap in. And this is another one. You do not want to back it out a little bit. That lubricates the O-ring. This is another one you don't want to over tighten. You don't got to get carried away. I showed you what that one looked like after I got done with the diamond burr. Grinding it down 13/16. Snug. That's it. Don't need any more than that. Alright. I suppose we could put our A valve in now. Get the cavity ready. A little oil. Here's our A valve. Clean that off. This one's got quite a bit of debris on it. And the solvent alone isn't going to get rid of it, so I'm going to have to pause this for a moment, but if you look at this, you can see there's quite a bit of metal in the screen on this. So I'm going to try blowing this out with some compressed air, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, judgment call on our part. That's the swollen one, okay. Judgment call on our part. With a compressor, I was not able to blow the metal out of this screen on this A valve. And as you can see, the screen moves freely on here. And you can just about make out the ports and the sides of the valve. I think by trying to blow this out, I may have forced some of the debris in, and we don't want to take a chance on this. You can also see the discoloration on here. It almost looks burned. So I'm actually wondering if this gentleman's control is hooked up to constant power. So that 8 coil is energized every time he puts the plow on float and then goes in the house. So we're opting for an aftermarket valve. That's what the gentleman wants. We would recommend the OEM Meyer. But this here is an aftermarket one made in the USA. So we're going to install this. This is what the customer wants. Had this plow been under, unit been under warranty, we'd only use genuine Meyer parts, but we have to work with the customers. And if aftermarket's what they want, then that's what we have to offer and install. So that's what we're doing. Now we go back to our 7/8 deep socket. Like the A, B, and the C valve. We don't need to get too carried away with this. We just want it snug. Now we're going to install our elbows. We're going to install the short one first. That can be edited out. Alright, we got our sealant. Again, we don't use Teflon on these. You have to install your short elbow first. That's what we're going to do now. Get some thread sealant on here. Not much of this remains in the threads as they're going into the female side on the block here, so you don't have to get carried away with that either. And the short one goes to the inside, closest to the tank. And it will get a female coupler on it. We're going to install this one first. These you don't have to get carried away on, but you want it snug and pointing in the direction that you need it to be pointing in. So, looks like I'm going to come around one more time, get it where I need it. Even though it feels like it's pretty tight. And that's it. Put our sealant on the male, or excuse me, put our sealant on the tall elbow. Get it in the threads real good. Screw that back in here. Same as the other one. Tight and in position. That's probably where it was. We removed it, so we're going to go around again. All right. that's in place. Alright, so those are installed. We're pretty much finishing up the top half here. Filter screens. Generally we blow these out with compressed air too. Depending on how clogged they are. Sometimes there's some fine fibers that clog these up, and we'll replace them. One that goes in the back here. Grab one of our plugs. Everything's got oil on it, right? Clean that off. Excuse me. Get some oil on the O-ring. And screw that in. .11/16. This is where your warning sticker comes in, not to over torque these. We just do them snug. We're supposed to use a torque wrench on these, but we don't. Excuse me. Just want it snug, and that's it. You can always tighten them up more if they leak. But if you over tighten them and strip a hole, you'll be buying a base. So, okay. Got a hole in the thumb of my glove here. I don't know why. It's solvent on my skin. This one goes on this side of the unit. Suppose I should spin the unit around so you can see, but you saw me remove it. The other cavity in the front has the lower adjustment screw, which we're not messing with, so there's no reason to really remove that. I suppose you could. We don't make it a habit, simply because they usually have Loctite on the threads, and if you remove it, you break that Loctite. So, if I'm going to make an adjustment on that, it'll be while it's on the stand, and I can see how fast it's actually coming down. Same thing on this one. Grab our 11/16. Just want it snug. Don't need to get carried away. And because we put the other ones in, we may as well put that last one in. That goes over the lower adjustment screw hole. Now, there's two reasons I put this magnetic pickup tool up there. One of them, so I know where it is. The other one is, there's so many metal shavings around this shop from all the welding and fabrication that we do. Anytime you lay something down that's magnetic, it comes up fuzzy with iron filings. So, if I put it up there, it stays clean. Alright, we got the cap on our lower adjustment screw. Like the other plugs, we're just going to make this snug, not getting carried away. And here we're going to pause so I can fix my glove. Okay, well, now we're going to install a new wiper in the top cap. So, got our magic seal kit here. Here's our new wiper. Now, here's what it looks looks like. Maybe like a typical oil seal of sorts. So it's just a wiper. It's got a steel outer part and probably a neoprene inside, and it's got a taper. I don't know if you can see it if I'm holding it at a good angle. It's tapered this way. So as the piston comes down, it wipes it off and the debris will accumulate in this recessed area around it. A lot of times people think that it's meant to hold the oil in, and when they see it this way, they say, oh, well, the oil is in the reservoir and we want to hold it in. So they install it this way, not realizing that defeats the whole purpose of having it. So, here's our top cap. We clean this up. We use an air tool for that. I don't recommend it because this is aluminum, and if you don't be very, very careful, you'll have problems. So, and we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Some guys do it with an arbor press. We're just going to drive it in with a good old-fashioned socket. And it just so happens 1 1/8" is a damn near perfect fit. So, what I happen to have here too is one that came in the other day that had this oil seal, or wiper, as it's referred to, installed backwards. And when I pried this out, well, look at the corrosion. It ate away the cap. Cap's all eroded. This thing will never seat properly. The cap's actually very thin here, and chunks of it broke away when I pried this out. And it really didn't take very much to pry it out, but it just destroyed the cap. So, it's supposed to go this way, folks. Not this way. So enough time wasted on that. Okay, we got our cap nice and clean. We have our recessed portion of the cap where the oil wiper seal is going to sit, clean. We got our socket, hammer. We're going to set this right in that recessed portion around the sides that I was just describing to you. Try to hold it square. Work around the edges, tap, 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 tap. Make sure it's going in squarely. If you see it's not, this isn't a race. You know, you want this thing installed squarely. So you work your way around. Make sure it's all the way in. A little shot here. There you go. Ready to go. We're going to put this to the side. We had mentioned, I believe when we disassembled this unit, that this pitting on this lift cylinder, on this lift ram, is unacceptable because it will draw moisture in, and it's actually right where the thing is going to sit when it fully retracts, and it's just going to chew the seal. So we're going to replace this. We need to remove the lock nut, the actual packing, which you can see, I think when we disassembled it, we talked about it smeared. There's actually like a little piece coming loose here. And the piston. This brass part here is referred to as the piston. The way we do this is we always have an old 5/8 bolt. So pop this in the vise real quick here. Okay, 3/4 inch wrench to remove the 1/2 inch nut. This is an indented stop nut. I don't know if you can see the marks on here. So it's not just going to spin right off. It's not that difficult, but it's not just going to spin off a finger with your fingers. we don't reuse them. Sometimes we reuse the indented ones actually. It's the nylocks that we don't reuse. Okay. Here's our washer. They may refer to it as a spacer. Here's our packing, which really isn't very much to it. And now you can see that damaged portion. And our actual piston. Right here, there's another O-ring that helps seal the piston. You see this recessed portion here, tapered to fit over this, and it makes a seal with that O-ring. So I'm going to remove it just to show you, but we're going to install a new one on the new lift ram that we're going to install here. There it is. And now that, note that that's stretched. These, we save them. Not really sure why, but I guess they can make a good pin. When scrap steel was up over the summer, we threw away quite a few of these. But right now we still save them. Like I say, for what, I have no idea. Alright, we're going to clean off our piston. Make sure you get that tapered part nice and clean. The part where the seal is going to sit nice and clean. Clean up our spacer / washer. Something we'd like to do in the future, actually, with our seal kits that we sell at smithbrothersplowparts.com and sometimes in our eBay store. You get these seal kits in the mail, or wherever you buy yours, and you really have no way of knowing what seal goes where. There's no kind of sheet or anything in here that lets you know what's what. Now, from experience, we know what's what, and this is the fellow we're looking for right here. Now, interestingly, there's both packings in here. The E-60 is out there with this packing that we're using. Incidentally, one side of it's flat and smooth, and that's the side that goes down on this. And then the bottom side's got a groove in it. And it's actually got like a taper to it. It flares out, as you can see, and that's so that it makes a seal when it goes into the piston and into the cylinder. It makes a nice tight seal. This is the packing that's being used in the E-47, 57, 58 for years. It's a much tougher packing material. When they wear it down, you can see it's actually got fibers. It looks a lot like a fire hose when they start to get worn in. What happened is, I don't know if I discussed it or not, with this smaller piston, to lift the larger blades, Meyer increased the pump pressure on the E-60 to 2,500 psi. That's running a little high. They had a problem in the beginning with the pump relief valve seat coming loose, and the pressure would creep up slowly until they blew the top cap off the unit. To enable the pump to lift heavier loads with less pressure, they increased the lift piston surface area, and they dropped the pressure down to 2,000 psi. I'm not sure if this one here, yeah, this is actually out of an E-60H that we're rebuilding right now. And you can see this is the larger diameter as opposed to ours. So, just something to keep in mind. Let me rephrase, that's not an H. That's just a standard. So, okay, now we have our new one here, fresh from Meyer. A little bit of surface rust on here, it's not uncommon. These parts aren't exactly stored in a climate-controlled environment. Just try to clean that portion off there. I find it's easier to get this baby on here without oil. And I know a lot of times you'll see people talking about O-rings and, oh, make sure you don't roll the O-ring. Well, the fact is, there's really no other way to get it on here without stretching it. And I don't think rolling it is as bad as stretching it, trying to get it over these threads. So, it's a gradual process sometimes. You almost got to screw it on there, which is pretty much what I'm doing right now, until I get it onto the shoulder part here. Okay. Slide that down. Our piston goes on. Our washer goes on. For comparison, I'm going to grab a nylock nut that I would normally install on the E-47s and 57s. And it looks like we'll have enough thread for the nylock to grab. Finger tight. Back on our bolt. 3/4 inch. It's pretty much, she's still loose intentionally. We're going to put a couple of drips of oil in here. Give it a little spin. Spread the oil around. Now we'll snug it. There really isn't much give here. Once you have it bottomed out, just give it a little oomph. And that's it. So we're going to put this to the side until we're ready for it. Clean spot. If one actually exists in this shop. Alright, we're going to move on to our lift cylinder. This is a collar. Well, we can remove this. This is a collar. We can see how thick these cylinder walls are. This doesn't really add any strength to it. I would imagine the reason for it, and I'll use this old one here for demonstration, is that they want to use the same top cap that they use on all the other pumps. So with the spacer, it allows it to fit right in there, just like all the others. So, it's the only reason for it. Alright, so we're going to remove the spacer ring, collar, whatever you want to call it. Just clean it off with our solvent. Quite a bit of rust on this. Want to get the oil off, we'll clean that up with our scuff pad later. You see the rust accumulation on this. We're going to clean this off. The outside of this isn't nearly as important as the inside. Excuse me. Okay. Well, tonight we got compressed air. Happen to have the compressor running earlier. Now, I don't know how well you can see down inside of there. You can see there's some rust accumulated around the top on the cylinder walls. And a little bit of rust accumulated on the bottom around the cylinder walls. And if I hold this up to the light, We'll drill it like a telescope. It's nice and shiny and clean inside. I don't see any other rust other than right at the very top and a little bit of a buildup at the very bottom. I'm just going to grab a scuff pad. I was using it over here earlier today. And what I'll do is I'll clean the outside rust because I can get to it nice and easy now with that collar off. I believe this is a maroon slash very fine. And that got off most of it. All right, and now we're going to work on the inside. And like I say, we only got to do that portion that's actually rusted. And you can see that actually cleaned it up really nice. There's just a little bit left, a little bit of pitting. Nothing too bad, nothing too crazy. No reason to hone this. Maybe I should have found a worse one that I could show you how we hone. But we'll just get this cleaned. I know the customer's waiting for this one. Even taking a little longer because we want to do this DVD for you folks. Alright, got the inside there at the base clean. Take a peek through, looks good. Clean some of these marks off, that's from water and sludge laying in the reservoir. We'll just clean that off as best we can. That needs to be cleaned off with a little bit of our solvent and we'll be good to go. I hate to reach into the camera like this, but this is actually our cylinder hone that we use on the E-47s. Works great. Pour a little bit of hydraulic oil on it, insert it into the cylinder, moving as you squeeze the trigger. So you want it moving when it goes in. Keep it moving in and out. Make a nice crosshatch pattern. Bring it out. Check it. And continue to do it until you get all the pits out as best you can. You don't want to go crazy, but you also don't want to leave any pits that are large. So, like I say, this one here is pretty clean on the inside, and we don't need to do that. So we're going to clean this off now with a little bit of solvent again. I know in the factory service manual they talk about slipping this over the ram and tapping it with a hammer. We found that the easiest way to do this is to have our piston here, our ram, take our cylinder, get a little oil here, coat the lower portion on the inside with our hydraulic fluid. Make sure it's all on the walls there real nice. And then what we do is stand this up on a nice piece of 5/4 pine we got here. Slip this over it, make sure it's centered. Done. No hammer. Nice and easy. Okay. Now what we're going to do is set this to the side because it's clean, it's assembled, it's ready to be set into the housing or sump base. So we're going to put this to the side because we don't need this right now. Okay. We'll clean up our collar. Eventually. There it is. Real simple. Nothing spectacular here. Just get the rust off. Let's clean it up nicely on the outside. clean up the inside with our scuff pad. Wouldn't be the first time that happens. Everything you're touching when you do these rebuilds is oily. If it wasn't for these gloves, it'd be even worse. Alright, we're going to clean this off with a little solvent. Remember now, if you don't get all the rust off, and you got a little left in the pits here, get some little pits, it's not a big deal. Remember, this is going to be bathed in oil. So it's not a big concern. You just don't want any of it to come loose and lodge somewhere it should. So, alright, we're going to retrieve our sump base and show you something that's our least, well, almost our least favorite part of redoing these. That's reinstalling the pump check valve. That's the part that I told you when you remove the pump mounting plate, and you're reaching for a tool, it's going to pop out and hit you in the chest. And our pump check valve goes in here. Right in here. So, the way to do this though is use gravity. So I'm not sure how this is going to work now because I really want this thing sitting this way to do it. But I want you guys to see how I have to hold it in there with a little tool while I put the pump mounting plate over it. So I'm just going to clean off the bottom of this a little here, because it brings up another point that I wanted to make earlier and I forgot. So if you look right here, which you may not be able to see because the paint's usually pretty thick on these, but right here is your serial number. I think this one's 0262709. So, just something to keep in mind. If you're looking for your pump serial number, that's where it is. Usually if you grab yourself a scuff pad, your paint's like this, you just clean that off and there it is. Okay, so we're going to reposition this on here, up against here for support. It's on the flat of the valve block. The crossover valve's removed. However, with this 5/4 block of pine under it, we actually could slide it over a little bit and have the crossover hanging out, but we're going to do this first. So I got to put on some new gloves because I managed to rip a hole in these. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to assemble our E-60. You might notice this is a different E-60 because I seem to have a problem sometimes remembering to change the tape. So, first thing we're going to put in is our pump mounting plate locator pin. That goes in this recess right here in the center. Press that down, make sure it's fully seated. You see we have our pump check valve ball, spring. Here's our seat with the O-ring on it. So we're going to drop the spring down into the cavity first. Then our ball goes on top of that, like so. This is the back of the pump. This fat O-ring, so to speak. You squeeze it a little bit and it fits in this oval shaped cavity of the back of the pump. It's very important that this O-ring be installed. Okay, so now our pump is ready to go. I have our pump mounting plate ready. Got oil on it. I cleaned around the hole where that oval shaped O-ring is going to make a seal. And I cleaned on the back where the pump check valve is going to make its seal. We have our E-60 special tool. Got oil on it. What we're going to do is we're going to hold the pump check valve in with this tool and put the motor mounting plate in. I don't know if I turn this, it will maybe make it easier for you to see. Okay. So in order to put this in, first we have to use our tool and hold the pump check valve in place. So the pump check valve sits on top of the ball, the pump check valve seat sits on top of the ball and the spring. And then we hold it in place with our tool. And you pretty much can only catch it on the very edge, which is fine. We have our plate, making sure that our hole is oriented the right way so that it fits over the pump check valve. It's on our locator pin. Now using your fingers, you hold the plate down to keep tension on it, and you have to slide out the tool, like so. Now you use the tool to hold down the plate while you set the pump down on top. And you'll notice there's two holes in the plate, and there's two locator pins here on the back of the pump. So you turn our pump the right way, and we want to set it down on the plate, making sure that those locator pins engage the plate, like so. Now we can slip our tool out and install our bolts. Tooth washers in place on the bolts. Use a socket to snug these down. Still holding tension on the plate with my fingers. So that pump check valve seal doesn't move, the O-ring. You don't want that to move. Okay, now I can snug this one down. Okay. Now we're going to use a torque wrench to torque these two bolts